I think educators should be resistant to AI. They should be reluctant. I don't think, I'm not one of those buy-in people. Just because you put it in front of me doesn't mean I'm going to buy into it immediately. One of the other things is the myth of the superhero teacher that really bugs me. And I'm like, no, because it is actually detrimental to our profession versus it's very placating. People only resist when you're making a change. If they don't fear you, they won't resist you. To feel like education is the one that they can control. If there's anywhere, if you feel powerless in your situation because of your home life, online, you have all the power.
In the next hour, Dr. Desiree Alexander is going to walk you through what she learned, training hundreds of educators on technology, AI, and digital leadership over the last 20 years, including the mistakes your school is making right now and how they're affecting your kid. No theory, just what works. Welcome back to the Supported Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Sebastian. Families often ask me how to navigate education and the maze of college prep in the landscape and without necessarily wasting thousands of dollars in time. The answer usually involves finding people who have figured out the rules of the game that schools aren't telling you. And that's why I'm thrilled to welcome to the podcast Dr. Desiree Alexander here today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. You are the founder and CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting, a Google certified trainer, innovator, and partner, the 2024 Common Sense Education Ambassador of the Year, and the author of Ready to Be an Educational Leader. You've been in education since 2002 and has trained educators in ITSE, TCEA, FETC, and conferences globally. We're going to dive into what schools are getting right and wrong about technology, AI, and digital safety, and how families can get ahead. Again, Dr. Alexander, welcome to the show. So, given them the highlight reel, but want to hear from you, like the 60-second snapshot of who you are and what specific problems you're solving for educators and families right now.
Quick snapshot. I'm an educator first, foremost, and beyond. I educate whoever asks me to now. It started as an educator of students. Now I'm an educator of teachers and educational leaders and whoever's in the field of education. And that is in a snapshot who I am and what problem am I solving in education. I would say education in general. Just whatever problems come up, not all of my educational partners have the same problem. Not all school districts have the same problem. So I would just say, the problem with education in general, because it depends on the actual whoever I'm helping at that time.
Well, you've been in education since 2002, and obviously you've seen the pendulum swing back and forth. Initiatives come, initiatives go. So you've seen the whole arc, especially with technology entering the classroom. What is the biggest shift you've seen right now, and are schools keeping up?
I think just why to using technology, to implementing technology. I've definitely seen, technology come through. I've seen social media hit schools. I've seen cell phones hit schools, and now, one-on-one devices and things like that. And then, of course, now AI. But I feel like the why behind using technology is still shaky. I think we either go too far to the left or too far to the right. Is either like, we're so tired of technology, we want to get rid of it. Let's go back to paper and pencil, or, all the way to the other side of we're using technology every single day. And some people do that very, very well, where they're using technology every single day. They know the why behind why they're using technology. They're using it in innovative ways. But, a big part of that is we're just using it because it's there. We're using it because we bought it, or we're using it because we're on Google Classroom and the student will sit for, 45 minutes just sitting and looking at Google Classroom. So I think the why is what I see still missing in a lot of schools. Why are we using technology versus using paper and pencil? Like, why are we introducing this technology to them? And are we doing it in innovative ways, unique ways? Or is the curriculum still there? Is what we want to do still valid when we do introduce that technology?
So what are schools struggling with? Like if schools are struggling to integrate technology right now, what does that mean for kids and the learning that's taking place?
It means, is learning actually taking place? So is the device being used to placate? Is the device being used to replace? Is the device actually being used for learning or almost as a pacifier? So I think that's what we have to start questioning. I think the problem is we don't have time, right? We don't have time in education. Rules are being made that we just have to follow. I feel like the people that I'm speaking to already know this, but like, they're like, yeah, we're here. What do we do about it? Because like, what do you do to make sure that the devices or the whatever you're implementing is actually being used in authentic ways to where the students are still getting something from it, that the students are still learning from it. And I think that, we go a little bit deeper than like access or, internet, being spotty or, all the things that we kind of focus on because it's a little bit easier than to look at the deeper issue of why are we using this? What are students getting from this? Are we actually getting them college and work ready? Like what's the point? Are they still learning the curriculum? Is it helping or is it hurting? Then making decisions from that.
So I guess, is there a structural problem in the rate of change? Because obviously schools are slow to adapt. And like, obviously we're going to talk about AI, but what have you seen in your experience in terms of like, because obviously COVID pushed the one-to-one devices. A lot of kids now have one-on-one devices or they bring their own devices. So devices are there, but are teachers using them effectively? I think that's what you're getting at with, are the kids actually learning with them?
I mean, like I said, I feel like it's the same answer I think the question of why, but I feel like even without devices, even with some of the curriculums that we push, some of the, even, offline things that we push for students, is it detrimental or will it make them more successful? I think just the why behind a lot of things is missing. And I don't want to say, like with your question, I don't want to say are teachers using it I don't want to put that responsibility on teachers. I don't want to put that blame, quote unquote, because it sounds like the blame game on teachers themselves because they're doing what they're being told to do. So a lot of teachers are being told exactly what they're told to do. Hey, we bought these Chromebooks. You need to use them. When I walk in your classroom, I need to see the students on them. Blah, 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 fill in the blank. So I don't want to specifically say like, oh, well, the teachers aren't, blah, blah, blah. But it's just as a system, do we understand why we're using this and how do we tell? Like, what is the measurement? Because everything has accountability, right? How do we tell if these devices are being more harmful, more detrimental to our students, or leading them towards success and leading them towards engagement? Like, how do we tell that? What is our accountability measure for that?
So you have a presentation called Reluctant AI. A title says a lot. Walk us through what you're seeing with why educators are resistant to AI and what's the cost of resistance.
I think educators should be resistant to AI. They should be reluctant. I don't think I'm not one of those buy-in people. Just because you put it in front of me doesn't mean I'm going to buy into it immediately. It doesn't mean I'm not going to question. It doesn't mean I'm not going to try it and see what I think about it versus listening to all the voices around me. And that's why I like this class. So this class, I start with telling them this is not the class to like force you to love it. It's the class to discuss. It's the class to ask questions. It's the class to say, okay, well, I may leave here feeling the exact same way, or I may leave here, questioning it a little bit more, which is great. Or I may leave here going, okay, I'm gonna try one thing, which is great. All of it is great, but what you cannot do as an educator is say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's here. So, and that's why this class exists. It's a straight discussion of what are the good, what are the bad, what are the ugly, what are the considerations, what are the things we need to be questioning. How does this affect education? How does this affect our students? How does this affect critical thinking? How does this affect cheating? How does this affect the environment? How does this, we need to be questioning. So that's why I love this class so much, because I think a lot of teachers come to it that are reluctant and they think like, oh, she's about to sell me on AI. And I'm like, that's not what this class is about. It's about discussion. Let's start discussing it, because what you can't do is be left in the sand. What you can't do is just close your eyes to it and think it's not going to still affect your classroom. So let's discuss it. Let's start getting into this discussion.
So how do you move a reluctant educator to someone who adopts it in their classroom? Walk me through that process.
I don't. That's not my job. So within the discussion, I start to show them these are some of the benefits. These are some of the detriments, but these are some of the benefits of you using AI and then your students using AI. So I can start by showing them, hey, this is how it can help you. Now, still though, you still have to say, okay, well, this is how it can help me, but what are those detriments behind it? Is it worth it? Is it worth the detriments behind? Is it worth? And I keep saying detriments, you can do a drinking game. How many times did I say the word detriment? But what are the hindrances behind it? Are they worth what I get from it? Should I use it because it's there? And if I'm the only one using it, is it going to make a dent in those hindrances? So it's just that kind of stuff. So it's not for us. And I think that's where presenters and, make mistakes. Is not for us to lead them to no, it's for us to have the discussion. It's for us to be real about the good and the bad of AI, and then see where they feel. Say, hey, I can also show you this one little thing that it can solve, this one little problem that you have that can have a solution, this one little time saving trip. And then see if they want to use it. And if they don't, it's not, oh my goodness, oh, I didn't do my job. No, but at least they're thinking about it. At least they're opening up to the discussion, where a lot don't even want to have this discussion at all. Just AI bad, put a period behind it. So yeah, that's how I would answer that. Yeah.
What do you think it leaves our kids? Because obviously there's a range, and I just from my personal experience, I think I think just education on the whole is going to be very slow to be on the cutting edge of AI, because obviously usually education is, right? It is more of a conservative institution than what we see in the private sector. With that being said, the conversations I hear, people are still really just talking about ChatGPT. They aren't even really, hip to what is out there right now in the models and how fast the rate of change is, especially with agentic AI, with as of the last couple of weeks, there's this race going on between Manus and Claude Code and all these different ones that are literally able to replicate the actions of administrators and humans. And admin assistants, doing repetitive tasks completely on their own from your computer. And we're still well, it's obviously ChatGPT written. It's not, ChatGPT is not right now even the conversation as the best model. But square that circle for me, and where teachers have, I don't think in the whole have the slightest clue of how disruptive AI is going to be. Kids are there. They either have reluctant AI teachers or ones that are slowly adopting, but nowhere near to what's being used in the private sector. And then somehow they're going to come into this world either upon graduation or after they go to college, in a world that's literally changing by the week into there'll be some level of adoption of AI in almost every career, I assume. So like, what do we do with that as educators? Like, how do we get there? How do we solve that?
Well, first and foremost, if I had the answer to that, I would be rich and would be on the beach and chilling. So number one, because everything that we're saying is opinion, right? So I am very hesitant for people that call themselves experts if they have not built the AI. If you built the AI, you can call yourself an expert. But those people that are like, oh, I have a solution. This is what we need to do. Calm down, because we don't know what's coming. Also, we didn't know what was coming some years ago, right? We didn't know when I first started teaching, we didn't know what the internet and social media and phones in the classroom. And, we didn't know what the future held. So I do think it's number one, it is the same thing in that respect for education. Hopefully the world is going to evolve and change enough to where we don't know what we're preparing them for. And that has always been the case in education. Now, I feel like generative AI and just AI in general is a new ball game, right? But so was the internet, and so was phones in your pocket and computers in your pocket. And so I feel like sometimes people sound the alarm because they make money from sounding the alarm. And I'm like, education has always been in this bubble where we're teaching them the now and not the future, because we also don't know what the future is. And I feel like it's unfair to put that on education in some respect, because if we don't know what the future is, how do you expect us to teach it? If we don't know, like you're talking about AI outside of education. So you're talking about AI where, we have robots and that are actually doing like really fully functional robots, and we have fully functional systems that are going far beyond, I'm not going to list the names, but far beyond the generative AI that we're using from our tech companies right now, right? For education specifically. So I feel like it's almost a catch-22 for education, where it's like, oh, well, y'all need to be teaching them about these jobs that don't exist yet. How do we do that? How are we supposed to teach them about jobs that don't exist yet? I mean, it's just like, we say things, and I get so frustrated on the behalf of educators, where it's like, well, how do you expect us to do that? How do you see that happening? So, the best we can do is teach them for the now, and teach them that the future is unlimited, and teach them that the future is coming, and teach them that, like, I'm preparing you for the now. I'm preparing you to go out with what I have for you. But guess what? Next year, unless you're a senior, next year, they should be teaching you even more. And the next year, you should look at what I taught you and go, because it's changing that quickly.
Right.
And teaching them to have that open mind, and teach them to have that critical thinking, that, sweetie, what I'm teaching you right now, if I'm elementary school, by the time you get to middle and high, especially at least with the technology, not like math and science, science, right. But, not with math, English, but with technology, sweetie, I hope you look back and go, wow, look at the crap that was there, and look where we are now. But teaching them to understand that, and teaching them to have that open mind. But I do feel like it's unfair to say like, oh, education is not teaching them for the future. We can teach them for the now. Like, what do you want us to do? Like, we are not fortune tellers, and we can't go, because I know technology is huge, but we can't go into every industry and say, hey, what's next? Okay, let us teach what's next. Like, we're putting what's happening? We're putting too much on the current state of education. And I don't care if you're talking about public, private, charter. I don't care what you're talking about. I feel like it's a catch-22 for education.
So kind of switching gears, you have a presentation called Parental Pitfalls, and it's really about student cyber safety. So what are the top pitfalls you're seeing parents fall into right now?
Being hands-off. I feel like, I used to talk to because I've taught middle and high my entire career. So my mindset is always from the middle and high perspective. And one of the things I used to tell my parents when they come into middle school, it's like, oh, you think you can breathe now. I'm so sorry, but you can't. I'm so sorry to tell you, like, you think, oh, they're a little bit older, I can loosen the reins a little. No, this is not the time for that. Because I would tell my parents, like, this is the time where you become stupid and the friends know everything. So everything is about what they're learning on social media, from influencer, from friends. So same thing with student cyber safety is that I feel like parents are like, oh, well, I can give them a little bit more freedom. I can be a little bit more hands off. And that's what's not keeping our students safe. So I think that's the biggest mistake is not knowing what's going on with those devices as much as you can. Because when I am talking to parents or when I'm talking to students, because I have a student cyber safety class too that I teach to teachers, librarians, educators, as if they were my students, and they can take all the materials and go and deliver it to the parents for the parental one and the students for the student one. Is that there's so much out there. You have to stay in the know and you have to know what's going on as much as possible with your students' devices, with your students' social media account. It is a scary world out there. I don't want you to feel comfortable. I don't want you to feel like, at least my student, because even if they don't have a device, they're online.
Right.
If they have access to a device, then they're on a device and then they're online. So it's just one of those things where we can't bury our head in the sand to just feel comfortable. We have to be way more active than a lot of us are, and stay in the know. And there are websites, like, again, it's one of those things, like, it feels like you're in a vast, empty, just black hole of information. But there are, Common Sense Education is one. There are websites, there are newsletters, there are things that you can sign up for that kind of keep you involved and let you know what's going on. And one of the benefits for me when I go and do these presentations with districts, like districts will hire me to talk to their students or talk to their parents at parent night. And it's always so interesting. There's always something new. There's always something that the student raises their hand and says, well, I'm on fill in the blank. And I'm like, what's that? Like, I'm teaching it. And I'm like, well, what is that? So there's always something, like, it's not going to stop. So we have to be very vigilant and very involved. So I think those are some of the biggest things to tell parents.
And for parents that have high schoolers who are going through the college admissions process and they're working on their college applications, they're on social media, they're putting their digital footprint out there, what should they be thinking about that most people overlook?
In what respect? For
just in terms of,
or for life?
I guess in terms of let's put it in the lens of college admissions, right? So, a lot of students put stuff out there like on LinkedIn, or maybe they build a website. Is there something that we're overlooking that would give them a very positive digital footprint for colleges to look at?
I think, it's almost, because there's so much information out there, it's almost common sense, quote unquote, now, to really just stay away from negativity. That's the biggest thing, is to, stay away from the trolls, stay away from posting pictures that are inappropriate. It's the stuff that they hear over and over again. But the thing is, we have to keep saying it because they keep doing it. So we can't not say it. Right. When we stop saying it is when they stop doing it. And we know that they're not stopping, so we have to continue to say it. I know one thing for like middle school and high school is like privacy settings. Right. I don't think they really care about the privacy settings that much. So talking to them about the privacy settings, talking to them about putting real versus fake information out. Now, if you're doing social media for colleges, of course, you're going to have to put some real information, but it doesn't have to be everything. You do a college application for a reason. So you don't have to put all of your personal information out there for the public to see. So you can still limit that. And you can even tell them that on the college application or in the essay that, hey, you're going to look me up and you're going to see only certain things because I'm not putting my whole life out on social media. And I think a lot of colleges would probably be impressed by that more than they go and see every single thing that you've ever done online for the whole public to see. So it's just being conservative in that respect of, keeping your life, your real life, in real life, IRL, and putting out there only what you want people to see. It is the one of the things that you can actually control in life, because there's so much that you can't control. There's so many people telling you who you are, that this is what you can control. You can control what you put out there on social media. You can control the narrative about yourself on social media. And that's what I tell my students, and I tell my parents to tell their children, is if there's anywhere in the world that you have power, is online. You have power to block. You have power to report. You have power to click off. If there's anywhere, if you feel powerless in your situation because of your home life, online, you have all the power. You have the power of how you respond to people, who you respond to, who you don't respond to, what pictures you post. You have the power. And that's what I try to drill into them, is you don't have to participate. You have the power to walk away from any situation online.
So you actually have SLLA test prep, where I hear you have a 92% first time pass rate for educators looking to become school leaders. Kind of break down, obviously that's very exceptional. So like walk through what's your system and why is it so effective in helping school leaders pass those exams?
I think why it's so effective is because I just get to the nitty gritty. I don't like fluff. I don't product intelligence conversation. They just get directly to the answer. I don't like a lot of just working around and like filling in space and filling in time. Like nobody has time for that. So I just get down to the nitty gritty of what you need to know on the test, breaking it down into multiple choice and constructive response. I have a system that I've come up with for constructive response that I think is super duper helpful. And it's just one of those things. I don't even know where it came from, but it works tremendously. So especially for the constructive response, people are like, this is it. I'm like, yes, it is. That is how you pass the test. I also take the test every couple of years. I haven't taken it in some years now. I probably need to take it. Take it every couple of years just to stay fresh, just to stay current. And yeah, it's just getting down to what you actually need to pass the test without any fluff or filler.
Sure. So you also wrote the book, literally Ready to Be an Educational Leader. Yes. What was the gap you saw in the market that made you say, I need to write this?
Well, people requested it. So I used to do all of my SLLA test prep, and I've been doing this for years with a capital Y since it was the old test and I run the new test, that I would do my class live. And I think it used to be like a 6-hour class. And then it became a 7-hour class. Then it became an 8-hour class. And I was like, I can't keep doing these live. It's just a lot of time that goes into it. So I created an online class because my word just went away from my head. The people requested it so much that I just didn't have the capacity to continue to do it live. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an online class. So I did the online class with videos and all that good stuff, and I still offer that. And so that was a very good solution that I can go, hey, go to, it's me talking. It's the same thing you get in the live class. Go to that. Then people would say, do you have this in book form? Like, do you have this where I can read? Do you have this where I can highlight? I'm like, no, you got the online class. Go do that. And so it was requested so much that I was like, okay, I need to kind of put this class in book format, and went through EduMatch, just awesome publisher. And that's where the book came from. So the book is really the online class in book form, quote unquote. But yeah, that's where the book came from. It really was just a need, and people requested it and people wanted it. So I was like, sure, let's do it. So That's where it came from.
Nice. So what is your most unpopular opinion about educational technology right now?
Unpopular opinion about education. About probably everything I already said. I'm sure I have people throwing like, I'm like, probably everything I just said about AI. Everybody's like, yay, AI. And yay, technology in the classroom. But unpopular opinion about AI, about technology in education. Honestly, I think is the why part. I don't want to go through all that again, but I really do think that people, like, sometimes when I say those things, people are not happy with me. They're like, well, we got technology, like, just shut up and use it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I think just saying like, hey, like, why are you using a Chromebook versus using anything else? Because what I see them doing on the Chromebook has nothing to do with being on a Chromebook. So even if I will tell them, like, even if you tell me, oh, at least they're getting some tech skills, or at least they're learning how to drag and drop. Okay, then that's a reason. That's a reason to do it on. But if you can't come up with that, then why are you using it? So I think being in the EdTech space, that is definitely unpopular when people are trying to sell devices and sell programs, and some of them are good, some of them are not, especially because so many companies are just coming out of the woodwork with AI. We have to be very careful. It's just a hot new topic and people see a dollar sign in education, even though we are, education districts, we're always broke in every respect. We have money and we spend money. So people love to come after education. So I think that would be my unpopular opinion, is just, why are we using it? I don't believe in using technology for technology's sake. I don't believe in using it just because we have it. So I think while people want to speed up with everything technological, I almost say slow down and see, why are we doing what we're doing?
Are you optimistic on where we're headed?
With technology in general?
Just in education in general. That's what the answer.
I almost quit doing what I'm doing right now a couple of years ago because I felt like I was just part of the problem, because I felt like, going into schools and talking to teachers and educational leaders and, everybody that I was talking to and saying like, oh, you can use this in a Google tool and it can help you. And I do believe that, like, I do believe it can, but when there's so many bigger issues going on, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Talking to them about a tech tool when they have all these other issues going on. And then I had to reconcile that with myself, and pray about it a bunch and reconcile it and listen to my God and that kind of stuff. So am I optimistic? Yes and no. Yes okay, this is what I'm optimistic about. I'm optimistic by the resistance to what we've been trying to do for years in education. And I just recorded a podcast recently where I kind of said the same thing. I was like, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to be really positive tonight, but I'm just going to have to say what I need to say. So I'm optimistic by the resistance, because people only resist when you're making a change. If they don't fear you, they won't resist you. So I think that we had started teaching our students critical thinking. We had started teaching our students empathy. We started teaching our students how to care about others. We started to teach our students about diversity and the good that comes from diversity. We started to teach our students the real history. We started to teach our students SEL and all the things that are now being squashed. And because we were making such a difference, that's where the resistance came. So the resistance was actually, I look at that optimistically, because I'm like, you wouldn't resist if we weren't making a change, which means we were on the right track. What I'm not optimistic about is just the reasoning for education right now, I do feel like it's to keep the masses at bay. I do feel like it's to create people to agree and not to think and not to question. It's about keeping the status quo. And I feel that even though I do feel like education, that's just education in general throughout history, that's why it exists. I feel like it's being used even more as the only vehicle that can actually achieve it. And that's what scares me. That's what I fear about education right now. You can talk about healthcare and Social Security and all the things that, all the big systems, right? Law and, all the big systems that we have, at least in the United States. But education is the only one that we force people into. Education is the only one that you will get arrested if you don't send your kids to. Education is, and you can do homeschooling, but you still have to do something. So I have to feel like education is the one that they can control the largest part of a population. And with some of the intentions that are taking place right now, I feel that that's a very scary thought. So optimistic to a certain extent, pessimistic to the other extent.
Well, I'm going to move it into lightning round. So these are questions you don't need to explain. If you're good with that, you ready for that?
I guess.
You can. I usually break my rules. So it's like 5 or 6 rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. No worry if you want to explain it. All right. Cool. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. One book that changed how you think about education.
I would say probably Teach Me, Miss K. I remember that I've read multiple ones, but just, I'm going to say Teach Me, Miss K without explaining.
If you could go back and tell yourself one thing when you started in 2002, what would it be?
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Yep.
Worst advice Okay. Sorry. Worst advice you hear people giving educators right now.
There's so much.
Like, don't do it.
Just stay away. I think the take something off your plate kind of mentality annoys me. Yeah. So I'll just, because I can go into that. That's a whole spiel. So I'm going to that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
One tool or resource you can't live without.
A tech resource?
Could be anything.
I mean, probably Google. I use it for everything. So,
One thing parents overthink about technology.
One thing I don't think they overthink. I don't think they overthink about technology.
How about, do you think they underthink something?
I'm saying nothing for that one.
Do you think they underthink stuff? What's one thing they
underthought? Yeah, I think it's definitely an underthought. It's become so normalized, and so I definitely think it's underthought about versus overthought about.
If someone only remembers one thing from this conversation, what should it be?
I'm going through everything that we discussed. I really want to say the power thing. Even as adults, you have power anytime you're dealing with technology, and just understanding that, and that you don't have to play the game on technology. You can control what you're involved in, what you're not involved in.
Okay. So Dr. Alexander, this has been absolutely incredible. I really do appreciate your time for coming on to the podcast, coming and meeting a complete stranger as we reached out to you. Sharing your message about education and technology. For people who want to go deeper with you, whether they're educators looking for their PhD, aspiring administrators, prepping for the SLLA, or families who just want to understand technology better, where can they find you?
EducatorAlexander.com. So everything for me is on my website. So my phone number, my email address, how to contact me, all my social media, how to sign up for my newsletter, buy the book. Everything is on educatoralexander.com.
And we'll put all those links and everything in the show notes and in the description. And before we wrap, what's something you wish I asked you, but I didn't?
I think you did a great job of kind of being well-rounded about the things that I do. And I don't think there's anything. I know there's one thing I wanted to say with the advice that teachers get. One of the other things is the myth of the superhero teacher that really bugs me. So that's the other thing that I hear a lot. Like, you're a superhero. That I hear a lot. And I'm like, no, because it is actually detrimental to our profession versus it's very placating. So I'm not going to go into that. But that's the other thing that I would want to say that I hate when I hear, told to teachers.
Awesome. Well, again.
So you know what? The other thing is, we do it for the love of the students, not for money. This is a profession. Like, it's stuff like that I just want to. Well, anyway, so yeah, it's just stuff like that people think they're saying good thing, and it's just like, no, you're completely just downgrading our entire profession. So yeah.
Well, Dr. Desiree, thank you for being here, and to everyone listening, if you got value from this, make sure you subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it, especially a school leader out there, because it's tough out there for us right now. So
it is.
So we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Supported Learning Podcast.